The missing persons case that we're going to talk about today is unsettling. To think that someone could leave their home one day and never reappear should make us all stop and think. 35 years ago, the son of a successful Hollywood movie producer left his Beverly Hills apartment and hasn't been seen since. This is one of those cases where the disappearance is certain, but the outcome is not. Did he go missing willingly, or meet with foul play, and is he unable to return home? Let's talk about Adam Hecht. Adam Arthur Hecht was born on August 6, 1965. He was the son of Harold and Martine Hecht. His father, Harold Hecht Sr., was a very successful film producer in Hollywood, having won an Academy Award for Best Picture in 1956, as well as discovering and partnering with Burt Lancaster in a successful film production company. The Hechts lived in Beverly Hills in a comfortable home and were a close-knit family. There were 3 children born to the couple, Harold Jr., Adam, and Rebecca, as well as 3 half-siblings from their father's first marriage. Adam was 24 and, being an exceptional athlete, made his living giving tennis lessons to some of the top families in Hollywood. By all accounts, he was very successful, had a lot of friends, drove a BMW, and lived in a beautiful apartment at 143 South Bedford Drive in Beverly Hills. He seemed to be excelling in life, but in early 1989, he would have a chance meeting with a person who would end up being an influence in his life in a less than positive way. Before I get into the circumstances of this mystery, I do want to thank the members of Adam's family who agreed to speak with me for my article and now this podcast. Duffy Hecht is Adam's half-brother and was quite a bit older. He didn't live close by, so he didn't really get to spend a lot of time with Adam in the years leading up to his disappearance, but they kept in touch and had a good relationship. He remembers him as kind, a great athlete, curious about other people's experiences, and having a love of music. Adam's brother, Harold Hecht Jr., was a huge help in the article and this podcast, and most of the information included here came from his recollections. He was very close with Adam and remembers the time when his brother went missing very well. Harold was gracious in agreeing to speak with me at length about the very painful topic of his brother's disappearance, so I want to thank him for that. You'll actually hear from Harold a little later in this podcast. Although Adam was successful in his life, by the late 80s he began searching for clarity in his life, answers to what his path was to be, and just wanting to experience what those less fortunate than him were going through. He had become frustrated with the elitism that he had experienced growing up in a wealthy area and had sympathy for those that didn't have the same advantages he was born with. There was a sadness and confusion as he struggled with understanding it all. Adam had such a heart for others and people who were suffering. He just wanted to give back. In early 1989, he began volunteering at the mission in Los Angeles. He wanted to help in any way that he could. He began spending time on the streets, even bringing food to the homeless. The family could tell that Adam was struggling and tried to be a help, but there just wasn't much they could do. He needed to find his own way to answer his own questions. One morning while having breakfast with Harold, a homeless man caught Adam's attention. He was known only as Tony. Adam did strike up a conversation with Tony that day. Harold said that Adam believed Tony was a good person who was down on his luck and just needed some help. Adam thought that he would help him and they could have a good friendship. Soon after Adam met Tony, he invited him to stay at his apartment. The family was, of course, shocked to see Adam's new roommate. It made sense in some ways because of Adam's kind nature, but they were concerned. However, Adam was a grown man living on his own, so there was nothing his family could do. When Adam befriended Tony, he did seem to spend more time on the streets. He would start to partake in the mysticism that Tony seemed to have an interest in. There was even an incident when Adam purposely burned his hand in some sort of ritual that was likened to a test of endurance, mind over matter type exercise. Then in early June of 1989, Harold and Adam had a worthwhile, lengthy discussion about the meaning of life and some things that Adam was struggling with at the time. He remembers Adam was a little hesitant to open up, but Harold wanted to be there for his brother and listened to Adam and did what he could to be a comfort. Adam seemed to be going through a transitional phase as far as what was next for him and was in a vulnerable state, his brother believes. From what we know from the police report, Adam's family last spoke with him on June 7, 1989. A few days later, Harold was concerned after not being able to reach Adam. He went to his apartment to check on him. Tony answered the door drunk, and Adam didn't appear to be inside. The door was locked, and he refused to let Harold in. Worried, he shared the encounter with his mother, and soon after, when no one could get a hold of Adam, his mother also went to the apartment. Tony was there and was acting strangely, but there was no sign of her son, and it appeared he hadn't been there for some time. The family filed a report with the Beverly Hills Police Department on June 18th. Adam Hecht was now missing. Tony was never really any help, Harold remembers. He would seem coherent at times, other times not at all, and a lot of what he said didn't make any sense. Adam's BMW was apparently in the shop at the time, but the rental car he had been driving was also missing. After the family officially reported Adam missing, they had the police evict Tony from Adam's apartment. Tony was questioned by the police then, and he said he didn't know where Adam was, and the police didn't seem to think he was involved and let him go. Then on July 4th, almost a month after Adam went missing, his car was found by Officer Lightfoot, abandoned on a side street in the 800 block of Camden Drive in Beverly Hills, less than a mile from his apartment. The windows were rolled down, keys were still in the ignition, and Adam's wallet, with credit cards and $600 cash inside, was found. The car was covered with leaves and parking tickets, so it appeared to have been there a while, perhaps soon after Adam went missing. Aside from Adam's belongings, there weren't any other clues in the vehicle. His car seemed to be purposely abandoned, but by who? The Beverly Hills PD began investigating Adam's case as soon as his family reported him missing. They worked diligently on the case and checked out every lead they were given. Adam's family has always thought they did a thorough job in searching for their loved one. I did speak by phone in 2019 for my research with Detective Sergeant Chris Coulter of the Beverly Hills Police Department about Adam's case. He said they do and will continue to check out every lead they are given. There hasn't been much action in the case, but there was a tip submitted a few years ago via the Unsolved Mysteries website of a college professor named Adam Hecht, who some thought bore a striking resemblance to the missing Adam. He said they did check it out and even spoke with the professor, and it was found to not be the missing Adam Hecht. Adam's family also sprung into action, doing everything they could to try and track down their brother. Duffy had flyers made and hired a crew to assemble a database and mail them out to many police departments, campuses, coroners' offices, and even to Europe, where Adam had visited in the past. They searched everywhere they could think of and also spent thousands of dollars on a PI who followed up every lead, interviewing people, traveling to different cities, etc. The PI worked for them for about 6 months and did a comprehensive job, but sadly wasn't able to come up with any solid information. Harold said that Robert Stack was a family friend of the Hechts, and Unsolved Mysteries was a successful TV show at the time. In an effort to find his brother, Harold contacted the show, and after hearing the compelling story of Adam's disappearance, they agreed to profile the case. It aired in October of 1990. Robert Stack even spoke with Harold about the case, telling him he was very sorry and they were happy to put it on and they really hoped that it helped. Harold vividly remembers being at the telecenter during the airing. He said it was both exciting and humbling to see the calls that were coming in. There were some leads that were investigated, but unfortunately, as is often the case, the vast majority of them turned out to be nothing. Also, in so many of these cases, some people will see this as an opportunity to benefit financially and give the loved ones false hope. I believe in this situation, the fact that the family was well off made this happen even more often. They would follow up on every lead that seemed credible in the years after Adam's disappearance, but so many of them just seemed to be opportunists looking for a score. There is another person in Adam's life at the time of his disappearance that has never been mentioned before publicly, but was very much a negative influence, according to his brother. Harold mentioned that real estate broker Andrew Gumbiner and Adam were close around the time he went missing. They had met when Adam was tutored by Andrew's successful tutoring business he had for Beverly Hills High School and developed a friendship. In a newspaper article from 1987, Andrew is referred to as a boyish-looking Beverly Hills High School graduate who used the earnings from a student tutoring service to become a successful real estate syndicator before 25. The story I was told, however, is that Gumbiner was involved in some very questionable real estate deals. Harold thinks that Adam was scammed out of money by Gumbiner. He also said that, at Gumbiner's urging, Adam convinced his mother to invest over $100,000 in these limited partnership apartment complexes that went belly up, and she lost all of her investment. Harold and his mother think that the risks and the benefits of the venture were misrepresented, and several people, including Gumbiner's father, also lost money. So it appears there were other people in Adam's life at the time he went missing as well who were manipulative and taking advantage of him in his somewhat vulnerable state. Now to follow up a bit on Tony, Adam's mysterious street friend. Not long after Adam went missing, Harold did see Tony out on the street in front of the Bagel Nosh in Beverly Hills. Harold, of course, asked Tony if he knew where Adam was, and he responded something like, "Look around Beverly Hills, look around and you'll see something." Like in the past, just vague comments that in the end don't make any real sense. Duffy and Harold also got word a few years after Adam went missing that Tony was in jail. He did agree to see them, so Duffy and Harold visited him, desperate to know if he had any information about their missing brother. They even offered him money for information, but Tony wasn't interested and really didn't seem to know anything of any significance. Some of you might be surprised to know that Tony has been around almost the entire time that Adam has been missing. I did read online a few places that Tony was thought to have been missing since the late 90s, but that simply isn't true. In fact, Harold has seen Tony regularly still on the streets as recent as 4 or 5 years ago in the same area of Beverly Hills where he had spent time prior. However, when I wrote my article in 2019, Harold hadn't seen Tony at all, but Beverly Hills Police Department informed me that Tony was still alive and they are aware of his whereabouts. We will talk about Tony a bit later in my interview with Harold. Harold, Duffy, and Adam's other family members searched aggressively for Adam for 5 years, following up every credible lead. As the family of a missing person, when do you just say, "He's gone," and try to move on with your life? There came a time, as Harold so aptly put it, and then you have to sit back and say, this is harder to keep this going than to just let it go. It doesn't mean they stopped looking for their loved one. They did absolutely everything they could think of to find him. They would and still do investigate and follow up on every lead they think could be legitimate, but with so much time having passed, their hopes are gone for a happy resolution to this case. Sadly, Adam's father, Harold Hecht Sr., passed away in 1985 of cancer, 4 years before his son went missing. Adam's brother Duffy is a successful movie producer, and Harold Jr. is an accomplished sports producer with 3 Emmys to his credit. His sister Rebecca runs the bakery department of a thriving grocery store. Adam's mother Martine is doing very well. She's retired, active, and is now in her 80s. She is still devastated by her son's disappearance, and every single year on Christmas and Adam's birthday, she cries and wonders where her beautiful boy is. She has great memories of him, but is sad that she didn't do more, but didn't see it coming at the time. Looking back, the family wishes they would have been more inquisitive with Adam, but never dreamed this type of scenario would happen. So there are quite a few things to update you on since I first posted my article 5 years ago. Several months after posting my article, Harold contacted me with quite a surprise. He had been driving through Beverly Hills when he saw none other than Tony. He decided to pull over and ask him a few questions. Even though he had seen him a handful of times, he hadn't actually spoken to Tony in over 20 years. He said that Tony was very polite and didn't really appear to remember Harold, but certainly remembered Adam when asked. Harold asked him when was the last time he saw Adam, and Tony replied, at his apartment. Harold then asked Tony if he thought any harm had come to Adam, wherein Tony replied, I don't think so. Harold said Tony seemed sincere in his answers. Harold also snapped a few pictures of Tony that he sent to me, and I did post on my article on my blog. As far as I know, they are the only pictures of the elusive Tony on the internet. I have also had a few interesting emails sent to me on my blog concerning Adam that I will mention. The first was from a few years ago. She had mentioned that she knew someone who resembled Adam a lot, but really wasn't forthcoming when I asked her further questions. Ultimately, I don't think it is Adam, but I will share with you what she said. Adam Hecht looks a lot like Kenton Galloway, who moved to Kingston, Ontario, and Sudbury, Ontario, Canada in '98. He was said to like scuba diving, cooking, cars, skydiving, and tennis. He claimed to be 30 to 35 and to be from a wealthy Scottish and American family. Also, just a few months ago, I also received an intriguing email from someone who encountered someone they believed to be Adam Hecht. This is what he said. I just watched another episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Every time I do, I'm reminded about my encounter. I am absolutely 100% sure that I picked Adam up hitchhiking on I-15 between St. George, Utah and Tokerville, Utah. He told me of information. He wore expensive leather pants, said he was a graded tennis player, and that his family was materialistic. He was headed to the Five Fingers area to meet a girlfriend waiting for him and talked of marriage. I was also contacted by someone who wanted to compliment me on my article on Adam. He had an interesting connection to the investigation into Adam's disappearance. He actually assisted one of the PIs that the Hecks hired to try and find Adam, and he had some information to share from his recollections. He said that they, the PI and himself, worked the case for about 2 years and were asked to revisit it a few years after that. He also said he believes another PI was working on it at the same time. During his investigation, he learned that Adam had made some appointments for Tony for his mental health issues. He believes that Tony was reluctant to go alone, so Adam would wait in the waiting room. He said that after Adam disappeared, there were still some appointments left that he had scheduled for Tony. Tony initially thought that Adam would be back soon and even questioned if Adam had just left to see if Tony would continue to go to his appointments. I also spoke with now Lieutenant Chris Coulter of the Beverly Hills Police Department again recently to see if there had been any activity in this case. And although the Beverly Hills Police Department will gladly investigate any and all leads or tips called in concerning his disappearance, sadly, Adam's case seems to have grown very cold. Now I wanted my listeners to hear from the person who has done the most to try to get attention to this disappearance, and that is Adam's brother, Harold. I am honored to have Harold Hecht Jr. on the podcast, and I want to thank you so much for joining me to discuss your brother's disappearance.
Hey, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for keeping the story alive.
I appreciate you always take time to me to speak whenever I have something in regards to Adam, and you always make time. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So if you will, describe to our listeners the kind of person and brother that Adam was and possibly is.
Well, I tell you, we grew up in a beautiful family, growing up in Bel Air and Brentwood, and had a life of privilege. Our father, was a successful movie producer in Hollywood, won an Academy Award for the movie Marty in 1955, and we had a very happy upbringing. We played sports. We went to Barrington Park to play all the games and sports there on various teams, and we had an idyllic time growing up. We moved to Beverly Hills when my parents divorced so that I could go to Beverly Hills High School. And I was focused on living with my dad, and he was living with my mom for a while. But we both went to the high school, and things were going, very well. Adam was succeeding in school. He was in the tennis team. He always lived a little bit in my shadow, but we had a good thing going for a long time.
So take me back to the days before the disappearance. Had Adam been changing, in your opinion? And if so, how?
Well, Adam had been changing. The Unsolved Mystery Show that Robert Stack, who knew our family, put together, kind of explained a little of it. I think he was a little disillusioned with life and material items and things, and he started to go down town to the Mission, to less fortunate areas downtown to see if he could help people and bring food and just take an interest in the less fortunate. And that was one big change. Another change was he was a little less available to the family in terms of returning calls and just kind of being a part of our group. But I was quite busy at that time, and I was doing tennis on my own, and it was a little bit of a time where I wasn't in as much touch with him as possible, but he was changing quite a bit.
Okay, so how did you first find out about Adam being missing?
Well, before he missed, I went to his house. He had taken in a street person who, by the way, he goes by a couple of different names, but he's a black gentleman who walks around Beverly Hills still to this day. I saw him yesterday. I
Wow.
talked to him 3 or 4 weeks ago, if you can believe it.
Wow.
Just asking him questions about Adam's whereabouts, and he never really speaks, obviously, badly about Adam, but he became an important part of my brother's life towards the end before he disappeared, because my brother brought him into his home and allowed him to stay there. And I went over when he was there once, and it was very awkward. And I think in fact, I know he brought him over to my mom's house. It's in the Unsolved Mystery Show. And he tried to get approval from my mom, and my mom was not ready to give him approval for him being a big part of the life. So that's a little bit of how we became aware of Tony. I was there the day that he met Tony outside of Nate Now's restaurant.
Oh, yeah, I remember that in the reenactment, actually.
Yeah.
What was your initial thought about what had happened when Adam was missing?
Confusion, sadness, frustration, anger. All of those things in a nutshell. I found it very odd that his BMW was found in Beverly Hills with his wallet in it and his keys in the car, and he had either been abducted, he had just kind of checked out. I don't know where he checked out, whether he went to the Moonies, whether he went to a cult, whether he was murdered, whether he just did something where there was no trace left.
Yeah, and I don't think I even mentioned in the article, but you said that he would also hike in the mountains. Now, what areas would he usually go hiking in?
Will Rogers Mountains, Santa Monica Mountains. I think that he was definitely looking for something. He was, I think, not satisfied and happy, even with his teaching of tennis lessons and driving a nice car and being respected by friends and family. He was kind of searching for something and something different. So his disappearance goes hand in hand with that searching of something, and we just never been able to figure out what that was.
Did you think that he would surface soon?
I never thought it would go. I was just thankful that he disappeared after my dad passed away, because it was horrendous for our family,
Yeah.
and very sad for my mom especially. And I never could imagine it would be this long.
Yeah.
And holidays are hard, birthdays are hard, but to a certain extent, we've kind of figured out a number of years ago how to manage this, even though there's no closure. So
Yeah.
I didn't think he would be gone so long, and it's very sad.
Yeah. So tell us, I know you've had, a few different interactions with Tony. So tell us a little bit about that and, what you think about Tony and if he had any hand in your brother's disappearance.
Well, Tony is a unique person because he is a survivor, and
Yeah.
he has survived walking the streets of Beverly Hills for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And if you go there, if I go there today, I will see him walking around, not looking terrible, not smelling, not uh, uh, totally begging for money. He's a veteran street person who knows how to get by. I never thought he was terrible, but it was obvious that the family thought he had something to do with it, because he was, I think, a little bit even, he was just a kind of a gray person in the whole mystery.
Yeah.
He's a street person, so
Yeah.
he's taken the street person into his home, and
Yeah.
my brother disappears. So somehow we linked him to the whole
Yeah.
thing, right or wrong.
Understandably. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So about how long was it between the time that Adam met Tony and that Adam went missing? I mean, was it weeks or
I think it was 2 to 3 months.
months? Okay.
Yeah.
And you've also actually you just sent me the most recent picture of Tony, and I'll be sure to add that to my article because I know
Please.
people enjoy seeing him.
Yeah, please do. And I actually did a short interview with him, asking him some very pertinent questions. And he's always evasive. He's always pretty cagey with his answers and misdirection, changing the narrative. But there's a few things in there you feel free to use if I can get that to you.
Yeah, I'll put that on my social media pages. Yeah.
Okay, good. I just am amazed that he's still walking around the streets in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, because we're talking 35 years later. It's I couldn't believe when you ran into him a few years ago that he was still around.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's always a strange moment when I see him, and I see him all the time.
Wow. So you have the rare distinction of actually speaking with Robert Stack when they were profiling Adam's case. So how was he? And then tell us about you actually showed up at the telecenter the night that the episode aired, correct?
I sure did. Yeah, Rosemary and Robert Stack were friends with my father, and the movie business. You get to know a lot of people through parties and things like that. But they couldn't have been kinder. When Adam disappeared, and I went to talk to Tony before the show was approved, Tony said to me, "Hey, if you spend a little extra time with me, maybe you'll find out more." And that was all Unsolved Mysteries needed to greenlight the show. Mm-hmm. So they thought that there was a true mystery here, and there is, and they were very kind and generous. It's still out there on YouTube and various places to watch the show and get a better understanding of what really went down.
So what was it like behind the scenes, like being there at the night of the that it aired in the telecenter?
Horrible and hopeful, the two H words. My initials are HH. Horrible in that I was there in the first place.
Yeah.
Hopeful, the phone started to light up. I mean, it was like a ping pong, pachinko, whatever.
Wow.
The phones, you get lead after lead. Oh, I saw him here at the beach. I saw him here in Texas. I saw him here. It was amazing how that show was very popular for a while and had traction to get to reach so many people. And none of the leads really panned out.
Yeah. So I know that your mother was pretty memorable. She was to me in the Unsolved Mystery segment, and she just seemed lovely. So tell us how she's doing today.
That's so nice of you. She's 87. She's doing great. She's sad whenever this were to come up.
Yeah.
So we don't talk about it too much.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, the holidays, Christmas, and birthdays, and those type of things are very hard because there's not closure.
Yeah.
But she's a tough mom who came from West Hartlepool, County Durham in England. She came over on the QE2. She met my father on a blind date and kind of went from being a model in New York to living with a Academy Award winning producer. And so she's had a very wonderful life.
Yeah, that's great. So ultimately, do you think that Adam is still alive out there somewhere?
I don't. And if I was to try to figure out what happened, I think a man named Andy Gumbiner is probably the number one person I would have to talk to. Andy was somebody who went to Beverly Hills, had a tutoring, took money from his family, and made it very difficult for us to kind of figure out what happened to him. He's number one on my list of whenever I think about this. Number two is a cult. We had some mentions and leads that he was in Oakland or that he was somewhere out there, but just nothing really panned out. And that's the weirdest thing. We hired a detective, spent $250,000 on a detective. There was never any passport, credit card, any linkage, no charges, nothing came up. So we tried very hard to get some leads.
Yeah. Okay, Harold. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you so much. I'm sure people will really appreciate this interview and you giving us a little bit of additional details and, of course, updating us on Tony that's still alive and kicking in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, we're not blaming Tony, but we are blaming Tony because he was the one who was in his life right before he disappeared, and he's a very strange person. But there's a very good chance he didn't have anything other than just a link to the strange brain activity that Adam was having. Thank you for people out there listening to this and caring about this. Adam was a great person. He was a wonderful brother. He's loved by his family. He's missed by his family. If this was ever to have to be heard by Adam, you could always come back or send a message. There's no blame, and we love you.
Okay, Harold. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
As stated in our interview, Harold did recently see Tony and took a few new pictures of him, which I will put at the bottom of Adam's original article on my Lost and Found blog's website. Harold also conducted a brief interview with Tony in February of this year where he asks him about Adam's whereabouts. Harold was nice enough to send me the entire interview that he recorded. I will say that after watching Adam's segment on Unsolved Mysteries for years, it's pretty surreal to see and hear the real Tony talk. I will post the actual video of Harold and Tony on my Lost and Found blog's website at the end of the Adam Hecht article, so you can actually see Tony, but here is the audio of the interview.
With Adam? I'll check you out. Where is he? Yeah, you know where he's at. It's the hardware store? Yeah, well, yeah, that is Adam worked at the hardware store, yeah. Do you remember Adam? Yes or no? Damn, man. Come on. Now, hey, man, I can use a few bucks, man, so I can go shopping. I'll give you a few bucks if you tell me what your memories are of Adam. Memories? Give me one. It's the same as, you know what a house is over there, right? Where? What is it? Charlottesville and off of Wilshire? Yeah. You know what that's at, right? No longer there. What's no longer there? Adam. Oh. What do you think happened to him? Got mixed up in a bad group. Why? How is that? And why is that? Don't know. You were with him at the time. Oh, I was? You were living with him. We were staying over there. That's where the house is. That's right. Yeah, that's one of my houses. But you've never seen him. Huh? You've never seen him. What do you mean never Adam, seen him? You've never seen him. Well, if we're talking about it, you got to be somewhere. Right? Tell the truth. You just jive me. Come on, give me stuff, man. Thanks for talking. Do you still go by Tony? Hey, boss. You know the Beverly Hillbillies show, right? Yeah. I'm the owner of this city. Somebody can be the owner. You're a survivor. You know that? You're a survivor. What? A survivor of what? Oh, yeah. Everything. Yeah, hey, man. You know, this little work pocket was killing. And I fixed it. I'm a precision mechanic. You take care. Hey, what you got for me, man? You got anything for me? I do. I could use a little something. I do.
As far as my theories, I've actually changed my opinion since doing research and speaking with Adam's family. I had initially thought that Adam, spending more time on the streets, met with foul play ultimately. However, learning that Adam was struggling with some deep questions at the time he went missing makes me believe he left his life willingly. His brother Harold seems to think that's the most likely scenario as well. However, the chances he could have continued in a transient lifestyle this long aren't great, but then again, that's exactly what Tony has done. If Adam were struggling with his wealthy upbringing, it would stand to reason that maybe he wanted to leave it. His car seemed to have been left purposely, and the fact that a lot of cash was left inside leads me to think it wasn't left after some sort of a crime. I think Adam wanted to go searching on his own, abandoned his car, and told Tony he could stay at his apartment and left. I don't think he had some sort of clear-cut plan, nor do I know if Adam is still alive 35 years later. I do think he left of his own free will, which could explain why no trace of him was ever found in the first few years after he went missing, despite exhaustive efforts. Ultimately, I don't think Tony was involved in Adam's disappearance, and neither does his family, although he could very well know more about his disappearance than he is told. Tony was a person struggling whom Adam thought he could help at the time, and Tony was more than willing to take advantage of and accept anything from him he was willing to give. Adam Hecht was a kind, successful, and compassionate person who appeared to be searching for answers to the same questions and ponderings most of us will have at some point in our lives. His desire was to be a help and a comfort to those less fortunate, and that is very commendable. Whether Adam did meet with foul play, developed amnesia, committed suicide, or just wanted a different life, it appears we may never know. Adam's family still has so many questions, as well as a deep sadness with his disappearance that will never leave. However, anytime his case gets mentioned, it renews attention to it, which is a good thing. Harold Hecht and his family are very appreciative of the attention that is given to Adam's disappearance and that so many people still care. Now, 35 years later, there is one thing they want almost as desperately as they want to find Adam. It's closure. In Adam Hecht's young life, as well as his family's now for the last 35 years, both seem to have something in common. Both were and are searching for answers. This concludes my podcast on Adam Hecht. If you have any information on his disappearance, please contact me and I will pass the information on to Harold. As stated before, I have posted the entire video of Harold's interview with Tony at the bottom of my original Adam article on my blog that is titled Searching for Answers. If you like this episode, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find my podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. It is one word, Lost and Found Podcast. I publish a new episode every 2 weeks. You can reach me at Lost and Found Podcast at Yahoo. You can also view all of my articles as well as links to my most recent podcasts on my website at Lost and Found Blogs. And remember that cold cases stay cold because their story stops getting told.